Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chunderboy, and this is the Niner Narrative. I am doing a quick video about the 49ers 53-man roster. I'm probably a day late or so. A couple things have changed. But we're going to try to just do a quick little reaction on the 49ers 53-man roster and see what we like, see what we don't. I just dropped a 53-man projection the other day. I did okay. I didn't get, I wasn't too far off. But let's go over some of the things that I like, don't like, some of the players that I wish we would have kept, and some that are a little bit head scratching. There's not too many though. This roster's it's pretty set, so there's not a whole lot that I'm overly concerned about. So quickly, give me 1 second here. We're going to move a couple things around so I can dual screen on two screens. Okay, so first and foremost, quarterbacks. No surprise here, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones. They did bring in Martinez from the UFL to be their third quarterback. I think this is actually a really good thing for them to do because a couple things that you want your emergency third quarterback to have. One, some moxie. They're going to be put in bad situations. So you don't want somebody that's going to shy away from adversity and difficult situations. That's pretty much all you're going to give them. So that's kind of I think he's got quite a bit of moxie, and that's going to bode well for him. He's also extremely productive with his feet. So he actually, I believe, led the UFL in rushing yards, which is wild for a quarterback to lead the league in rushing yards. So he's very mobile. So he's going to give our defense some really good looks against mobile quarterbacks, against passing quarterbacks. We needed somebody who could come in and run the scout team. And I think he is a really good fit to do that. I don't think using a first or second year player that doesn't have a lot of experience to run your scout team is always the best option. Now, clearly, if you're trying to develop a guy who you think could be your quarterback of the future, then of course that's what you want to go with. But if that's not the case, which with Carter Bradley or Tanner Mordecai, that clearly wasn't the case. They were just third string guys. They were never going to vie for any real playing time. We have our quarterback. We have a quarterback at least for the next few years in Brock Purdy. So bringing in a guy who's got some moxie, who's got some experience, who's overcome some adversity, and who has legs is going to be very beneficial for the scout team quarterback. So I think they made a really good decision with that. So with running backs, not a lot here that's going to, scratch anybody's head. Christian McCaffrey, obviously Brian Robinson Jr., can we please just all pray together real quick that the 49ers are actually going to take Christian McCaffrey off the field a little bit this year, spell him a little bit with an extremely capable running back in Brian Robinson Jr., who's very capable as a pass protector too. So there's a little bit of a misconception, I think, as to why J.P. Mason didn't get much of a run with the 49ers because he ran so well. There's essentially three things. One, there are a lot of videos on the internet that show J.P. Mason running the same exact run concepts as Christian McCaffrey, blocked very similarly, sometimes even in the same game against the same teams, running the same run play. And you watch J.P. Mason get 5 yards, and you're like, cool, great, good run. You watch Christian McCaffrey get 8 yards because he makes a slight hesitation, which freezes the linebacker, which allows him to get through and get all the way to the safety, that kind of stuff. So I think there were some issues there with just patience with Mason. And it's not that he's not a good running back. He's a terrific running back. I thought he was a terrific change of pace because he's a bit of a thumper as a runner. He just runs so hard. But there's a little bit left to be desired with his ability to run with patience. I think he was not very good in pass protection. They couldn't really trust him in pass protection. And that's critical. I'll explain why in just a minute. And lastly, a couple of fumbles throughout his career. So he just didn't have the full trust of Bobby Turner and Kyle Shanahan. It's all it came down to. He just didn't have their trust. Hopefully, Brian Robinson can garner their trust and also the trust of Brock pretty quickly. So J.P. Mason, one of the reasons that he did not get time, even though he played so well when Christian McCaffrey was out, is that they don't trust him in pass protection. So when the 49ers call plays, they always call a can play. They always call a second play that you can go to. So in any given situation, your running back, doesn't matter what play it is, first down, second down, third down, the running back is going to be required to know the pass protections of the canned play. So even when they call a run play, there's a pass play that's also called, and they have to be able to know what the protections are in those pass play situations if the defense gives them a look that they're not ready for, or it gives them a different look than what they were expecting, would be a better way to phrase that. So because of that, JP Mason just didn't trust him to be on assignment with stuff like that. And I think that's the primary reason why he basically got totally blanked out of the offense while Christian McCaffrey was back. Isaac Guerrero at this point, I never understood the hype with him. Okay, he's fast in a straight line, I guess. He played a lot of college football, but never started. All that talent, all that athleticism, but he could never get on the field. There's usually a reason for that. So if the 49ers block it up well and give him a clear hole that's predetermined, he can absolutely hit it and absolutely make a big play. He's definitely capable of that. He's a terrific third or fourth running back who can sub in, who can give you some time, and who can hit the big play when it's there. But he's never going to give you much more than that. I do think he's more dynamic as a pass catcher than what he has kind of he hasn't garnered any sort of attention for that. I think he's a very natural pass catcher, but I'm not sure that he has a good feel for the game. I'm not sure he'll ever get there from an instinctual and feel and just understanding how to run the ball, how to, when to pause, when to hit it, when to be patient, when not. I just don't feel like he has a good feel for it. Doesn't necessarily see it all that well. If it's there, or if it's a predetermined run to a predetermined spot, he can definitely hit it. So there's some good there, but he's been passed up very quickly. When they traded for Brian Robinson Jr., he immediately went to third, maybe even fourth back. I think Jordan James is going to probably take his position if he stays healthy this year. Isaac Guerrero is going to get phased out of this offense most likely. And obviously, your last running back, I just mentioned Jordan James, and then Kyle Juszczyk, of course, is your fifth back. I was kind of hoping that they would bring Jeff Wilson Jr. back to the practice squad. He ended up going back to Miami, so that's unfortunate. But I thought that there was a chance we could have a really good extra emergency back in Jeff Wilson to share carries with Brian Robinson if there's inevitably an injury to Christian McCaffrey. I really hope not. I hope that Christian McCaffrey continues to have a healthy season. He's had a healthy offseason, hasn't had any setbacks with the knee, with the calves, with the Achilles tendonitis or any of that stuff, it seems. So let's just hope he can get through healthy, and we definitely need him in the playoffs. So here's to fingers crossed, prayers up that Brian Robinson actually spells him some this year and takes a little bit of the load off Christian McCaffrey. So wide receivers, I think I predicted 6. Let me take a quick look here at what I had for. So I had Pearsall, Jennings, Ayuk, Robinson, Watkins, and Moore. I think, they kept Jennings, Pearsall, Watkins, Moore, and then Jacob Cowing. So obviously Robinson and Ayuk are not against the 53. Ayuk being placed on PUP with an injury from last year, and Robinson, they came out with that decision as far as his 3-game suspension and turning down his appeal, or whatever the right phrase is for that, like right at the 11th hour, which is a little strange, but it is what it is. So that's kind of why I had them on there. I wasn't totally sure if they were going to have to carry him to get him onto the roster, but they didn't have to carry either one of them. So Jacob Cowing gets to be on the roster. If he hasn't, I think he's already gone to IR. So he's an IR guy, but they had to put him on the roster before they could put him on IR. So that's just kind of the way that happens. That's just some roster, roster chess, if you will. So a couple of guys, Robbie Chosen, Russell Gage, Isaiah Hodgins. These are all guys that are practice squad eligible receivers who could all be called up on game day. Right now, I think Russell Gage is in the process of getting him back. I believe they've already brought back Robbie Chosen. that's going to be fluid. Next couple of weeks, you're probably going to see some guys come on and off that list at wide receiver. So let's not get too carried away with that. So moving on, we've got tight ends. Okay, George Kittle, Luke Farrell, Jake Tonjes. That was kind of a no-brainer. I think that's who I had for Tonjes. Yeah. So that wasn't really hard to see. Willis is just not going to give them anything. He's a bit of an athletic pass catcher, but that's about it. So he'll continue to just be a practice squad guy unless they bring in a different guy to be the practice squad tight end. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I had them keeping 9 guys on offensive line. They kept 10. So I had Trent Williams, Barch, Brendel, Pooney, McKivitz, who are their starters. Although there's a chance Connor Colby actually takes that left guard spot. We talked about that. And then I had Burford, Colby, Moss, and Hennessy. They did keep Burford, Colby, Moss, and Hennessy, but they also kept Austin Pleasance at right tackle. So we're not going to go with a swing tackle. We're going to have a left tackle, which is Burford, and a right tackle, which is Austin Pleasance. And I'm sure that's also going to change some over the next 2 weeks. There's a chance they hung on to a couple of these guys for an extra few days, hoping that would help them get them through the practice squad, potentially. A guy like Moss, for instance, but who knows? So defensive line, Nick Bosa, Michael Wynn. All right, let's see what we had real quick for defensive line before we get into that. So we had Williams, Huff, Bosa, Davis, West, and Elliott. They all made it. We had Samo, Alfred Collins, Anderson, and Valdez. So Anderson did initially make the roster. Kevin Givens is IR designated to return, so he didn't count against the 53 yet. So that's one that I didn't have, though he is – I wasn't sure how they were going to go about that. So the 2 I didn't have were Robert Beal Jr. and Yetur Gross-Matos. And obviously Valdez did not make the roster, though he somehow – who knows how he cleared waivers and he's coming back to the practice squad. He's somebody that's probably going to get elevated, especially early. I thought they would move on from Yetur Gross-Matos because he hasn't stayed healthy and he's not super cheap. He's cheap, but he's not super cheap. And they have other cheaper options who have stayed healthy. So your starting interior is probably Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott, or Kalia Davis and CJ West. I think that CJ West, Kalia Davis, and Jordan Elliott will all get starter snap counts, with Alfred Collins coming in on some of the earlier down stuff to give guys a breather. And then obviously, Bosa and Michael Williams are probably going to be base down starters, but Nick Bosa and Bryce Huff are going to be your edge guys on passing situations. And Michael Williams will kick inside, or Yetur Gross-Matos will kick inside, or even Sam Okwano is going to kick inside. The one surprise to me here was Robert Beal Jr. And the thing about Robert Beal Jr. is he has really started to stand out on special teams. And when you have a guy who's like 6'5", 240, and runs a 4.5 or whatever crazy number he runs at that size, that's a little bit of a mismatch nightmare for special team guys. If you ever watch the Locked On 49ers podcast, Eric Crocker, who's a former NFL defensive back, he used to talk about one of the reasons he didn't make it in the NFL is because he wasn't good enough on special teams. And he jokes about one of the reasons is because there's a 6'4", 250-pound guy that's faster than he is running down trying to take his head off. And so that's what you get in the NFL. And those kind of guys are very valuable for special teams. And Robert Beal has continued to develop off the edge as well. So there's a chance he sticks around for a while as a core special teamer and a guy who gives you a little bit of something in the rotation off the edge as just a pure speed rusher. So we may actually have Robert Beal sticking around for quite a while. Who knows? But so I wasn't sure that he would make it, and I was pretty certain that Yetur Gross-Matos was not, but I was not correct. I also didn't see them keeping 11 defensive linemen, so there's that as well. I'm really glad they got Valdez back to the practice squad. That's the thing that really gets me excited about that he actually made it through. But it also makes you scratch your head a little bit about why he made it through. I don't think that the NFL just missed it. There's no, the other scouting departments are just don't know about the guy. So he put good tape out there. They call him the Hulk because he's kind of freakishly strong and built like the Hulk, and he got through waivers. It's a bit of a head scratcher, but I'm really glad it happened. They also picked up Jordan Jefferson off of the waiver wire and then waived Evan Anderson, who did initially make the 53. Sucks for Evan Anderson, and I thought Evan Anderson was really going to give us some quality snaps this year. If we haven't already got him back, I hope we do get him back on the practice squad. I think he cleared waivers today and we got him back, but I'm not totally sure. I'll have to double check that. So Jordan Jefferson comes over from the Jaguars. He played for LSU and was drafted in the 4th round last year. So not sure exactly what the disconnect was in Jacksonville, but he's a big body guy with a great first step, and that's kind of what the 49ers want. So maybe it'll work out with a different system that fits his skill set better. Let's hope. Linebackers, again, this one's not too complicated. I think I had 5. I had Warner, Winters, Martin, Bethune, and Robinson. They went with Luke Gifford instead of Robinson. I think this is just an experience thing. Maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable. I believe Curtis Robinson was brought back on the practice squad, though, so he is still going to be sticking around. I think he's going to potentially be a core special teamer, depending on what the 53-man roster actually looks like by week 1. As long as Fred Warner stays healthy, D. Winters, Nick Martin, Luke Gifford are all capable of playing next to him and not being just some liability. So, and let's be clear here. D. Winters, if he stays healthy, should have a monster season. He's gotten nicked up quite a bit, so there's no guarantee that he's going to stay healthy. But D. Winters is going to have a terrific season this year if he stays healthy. Nick Martin just gets better and better, and he is a human missile. His ability to run and hit sideline to sideline is incredible. He seems to be getting faster and faster with seeing it and triggering every time he gets on the field. If he continues to see it, if his IQ is as good as they say it is, and he's able to use all that athleticism, he may be a game changer. He may be an impact player when he's on the field. And I imagine they may use him in pressure packages as well. There's a chance that they bring him in to rush the passer and be a blitzer and give D. Winters a bit of a break here and there. Although D. Winters is the better coverage linebacker. So there's going to be some gamesmanship there, I feel, with some of the third down packages. When they want to bring heat, when they want to bring pressure, they'll probably, 60, 70% of the time, maybe that'll be Nick Martin on the field in those situations instead of D. Winters. When they want to play more coverage, they may keep D. Winters on the field with Fred Warner, who are, Fred Warner, the best coverage linebacker in football. And then D. Winters is very, very good. He's better in coverage than he is against the run, and he's not bad against the run. He's just better in coverage than he is against the run. So I think that's probably the best group on defense is the linebacker group. Might be the best group on the team. I do like our defensive line if the young guys are able to hold up against the run in the NFL. But the 49ers the 49ers linebacker core, I think that's probably the strongest group I feel heading into the season. Cornerbacks. So Demo, Renata Green, those are your outside guys. Upton Stout is your nickel corner to start the year. If he's healthy, he hasn't, to the best of my knowledge, gone against another player the entire offseason. I'm not sure if he did in the practices where they go against the other teams. I don't think he did. I don't think he practiced in the 11-on-11s or anything like that against the Raiders or against the Broncos. So I'm curious. He may have gone with the Broncos. I have to go back and look. But either way, he's had very little to no time against other people, and he's starting the season off with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, Jackson Smith and Jigba has been getting quite a bit of He's their number one receiver in Seattle. He's a terrific slot receiver, and so on and so forth. I'm not as impressed. I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigba is all that good. I think he was terrific in college. I don't think he's all that good in the NFL. I think he's a number 2 receiver, especially when you play him in the slot. I think he's a good receiver. I'm not trying to act like he's not a good receiver, but I don't think he's just like one of these guys where you're worried because he's on the field. I don't think he's someone that you have to structure your defensive game plan around stopping him. So I'm not super concerned. I actually think it's kind of a good first outing for Stout because you're getting a really good slot corner who's a really good wide receiver you have to go against, but he's not a world beater. He's not, one of these guys that's just unguardable in the slot. So I think it's a really good first test for Upton Stout. But I'm not as high on Jackson Smith and Jigba as a lot of other people are. I don't have when I've watched them play, I don't see it. I very well could be missing something, but I don't see it. They also have Chase Lucas. I'm so glad he made the team. Chase Lucas is a dog. I love his mindset. I love his mentality. He's going to be playing special teams with that mentality. And I think he gives you a terrific corner to bring on the field. I like that they've been playing him outside a little bit because if he can become a versatile inside-outside corner, right, a poor man's Yamdor Lenore, if you will, that's a terrific fourth corner to have because no matter who goes down, he's your first guy in the game, and he's a baller. Darrell Luter Jr. and Saron Neal, they round out the corners. Saron Neal is a special teams pick. There's a chance that he's only on this team because he's a special team pick, and he's one of the guys that the special team coach got to pick out. Darrell Luter Jr. is developing, but he's been on the team 3 years, and he's still developing. And part of the reason for that is because he's had a bunch of injuries, and he just hasn't had a lot of time to develop on the field. I like what I saw from him in the last game. I know there's some people that thought he didn't play that well. I didn't see it that way, but they know football better than I do, so maybe I'm just missing something. Darrell Luter Jr. to me is exactly the right height, weight, speed, and he seems to be developing, and he's a very good, sticky type of corner who tackles well. I think that maybe they should have kept Dallas Flowers, but I'm okay with them sticking with Darrell Luter. Dallas Flowers was probably the better cornerback this offseason. So from that point, you're kind of hoping a little bit that Darrell Luter continues to get better, and by the end of the season, he's better than Dallas Flowers because Dallas Flowers probably isn't going to get a whole lot better. He just kind of is what he is at this point. And so I think right now Dallas Flowers might be better, but Luter could be better by the end of the season if he stays healthy. But, this is one of those where I don't necessarily agree or disagree. Dallas Flowers, I would have been fine with that. I'm okay with the 49ers keeping Luter. And Saron Neal makes sense because of his special teams. And then, of course, Jacob Robinson goes to IR. He's basically going to get a redshirt year. They didn't designate him to return, and they put him on IR at a point in time where they're not going to bring him back. So he's IR. He's done for the year. He's getting a redshirt year. I'm not happy about it from the standpoint of he's not going to contribute this year. I'm happy about it from the standpoint of he gets an entire year to just develop up here. He clearly has the talent for the position. He's got a really good feel for the position. So I'm really happy that he seems to be more of a long-term play for the 49ers, maybe a backup rotational corner for the next year or two while he develops and eventually maybe takes a starting spot from somebody. He has that kind of talent. Safeties. Jason Pinnock, Jair Brown, Marquis Siegel, Richie Grant, Malik Mustafa. Malik Mustafa is reserve BUP list, so he doesn't count against the 53-man roster. I had Pinnock, Mustafa, Siegel, and Neal. I thought Saron Neal was a safety. That is my screw up. He's a corner. So I got that part right, but I missed on Jacob Robinson with the corners because I didn't realize that he was going to be – he might have even already been on IR, and I just missed that. But so we got the 5 cornerbacks correct, and then we also got Saran Neal correct. So where we messed up this one is safeties. I don't understand why Jair Brown's still on this roster. I just don't. He's okay. He's okay on special teams. He is not a good safety. So, and I think we just released Richie Grant today, even though he did make the initial 53. So we have basically Jason Pinnock, Marcus Siegel, and Jair Brown. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't like it. I don't think Jair Brown's good. I think we should have kept Richie Grant, who, by the way, is an ace special teamer as well. So, not sure exactly what the logic is there. That one surprised me. Specialists, obviously, Jake Moody. Lord have mercy. We're not going to go down that road. John Weeks is our long snapper, and Thomas Morstead. It's interesting they actually cut Morstead. He did not make the 53 roster, but clearly this is just them playing a little bit of roster chess again. And you cut somebody like Thomas Morstead, who you know you're going to bring back, and that gives you the ability to keep a guy, put him on IR, and then bring the punter back. It's very smart. So that rounds out the full 53. It went mostly the way that we thought it would. A few things here and there went a little bit different. So now we look forward to Seattle. Now we look forward to week 1. The season's getting ready to start. How do we feel about this roster? First and foremost, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us how you feel about this roster. I don't know. I'm higher on this roster than most people are, primarily because of the high-end talent. We still have so much high-end talent on this roster. If the supplemental players, if the rookies just play well, they don't have to be world beaters. They don't have to be superstars. They just have to not blow it. We have enough impact players on this team to be a really good team who is a high-level playoff team who can beat another good team. There's a ton of there's a ton of talent on this team, okay? At the skill positions, there are a lot of teams that would love to have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and Ricky Pearsall. A lot of teams. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, we brought him in. He's probably going to be, so you're going to have like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Russell Gage probably are going to be like your 2 primaries outside of Ricky Pearsall. Maybe Sky Moore, do some end-around stuff, some of the Debo stuff with Sky Moore. The orbit motions. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is just going to run 20 go routes and take the safety off. But one of the things that's going to help us do is Ricky Pearsall likes to work underneath and across the middle, which is how Kyle Shanahan likes to use his primary receiver. Kittle is going to be working seam routes and across the middle. And Christian McCaffrey is going to be doing the Texas routes, the wheel routes, so on and so forth, with the occasional leak out from Kyle Juszczyk. Having a guy who forces one of the safeties to stay back, it does a lot to help open everything else up. And as soon as that safety does not stay back, Purdy's chunking it. Okay, so I think the skill positions, I understand our wide receiver core is decimated right now. We don't have a ton of guys. It's an uneasy feeling. We have potentially the worst wide receiver room going into week 1 in the league. Couple of things to look at. One, the skill sets match up pretty well, and so it gives us a chance to actually be successful even with the wide receivers we have. 2, Juwan Jennings, if he reports and he's at practice on Monday, he'll get his legs back under him, and you at least have Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall as your 1 and 2, and you could spell Jennings with a Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Why am I struggling with that? I apologize. A Sky Moore, a Russell Gage, even a Robbie Chosen, right? Maybe they'll use Robbie Chosen to do that instead because they trust him as the veteran. So I actually think we have plenty of offensive weapons to score points. Brock Purdy has to play well. He has to play efficient. He has to not force it. We're going to run the ball. We're going to really run the ball. So I'm okay with where our skill position's at. Our offensive line, Every year we say it's not good enough. Every year as a fan base, we're pounding the table for more offensive linemen to upgrade the offensive line. Every year we go into the season dreading our offensive line, and every year the offensive line is just fine. So I am with everybody on wanting to upgrade the offensive line. I'm with each one of you out there that thinks Jake Brendel's not good enough. I'm with each one of you out there that would love for the 49ers to finally spend some premium resources on our offensive line. However, I'm not going to freak out about it because we do it every year, and every year it's fine. So it kind of is what it is as far as that goes. Defensively, everything this season hinges, in my opinion, on whether or not the young guys do what they were brought in to do. Are the young guys going to stop the run? Are the 49ers going to become a stout, run stuffing defense that then flies around the field and puts pressure on quarterbacks on third down and gets off the field? If the 49ers are that defense, the 49ers will win a ton of games this year because the offense is good enough to score points. The defense doesn't have to be all world. It just has to get off the field on third down. It has to prevent other teams from putting 30 on us week after week. It has to prevent other teams from being able to run the ball down our throat, especially late in games. That's what our defense has to be able to do. If the young guys step up and play and do what they were drafted to do, the defense is going to be just fine. If it might even be more than that. The defense really might be elite this year if the young guys play well. The rest of the roster around the young guys is fine defensively. Terrific linebacker core, young defensive line who hopefully plays well. Our safeties are fine. Pinnock is a fine safety in this system. He's a high caliber, just professional starting safety in the system. Siegel looks awesome. I loved it when we drafted him. I liked him in college. He looks even better. Malik Mustafa will eventually come back, and I would not be surprised if we see some 3 safety looks when he comes back. Note that. I think we're going to see some 3 safety looks when he does come back. So the reason that I have such high hopes for the season, as I've said before, the schedule, rest, right? We have actually a rest advantage on a lot of the teams we play this year, which is the exact opposite of what we had before. Most of the injuries that we've had this offseason, players are being held out not because they're so injured they can't play. They're being held out because they're being careful. They're trying to get as many people to be as healthy as possible going into the season. So if we can get to week 1 as healthy as possible, it bodes well. I think we're going to be just fine, and I think that there's a chance mollywop Seattle. So I think we'll beat them by 2 touchdowns, and we beat them pretty comfortably. I really do. And a big part of that, I mean, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, who are their superstars? Who's their star? How many Pro Bowlers did they have last year? How many All-Pros? They've got a couple of good corners. I don't even think I know one of their linebackers. I'm not worried about Seattle. Their offensive line's okay, not great. The running backs are way overrated. Sam Darnold is their quarterback, and he doesn't have Justin Jefferson this year. I do think Jackson Smith-Njigba is a quality wide receiver, but he's the guy now. Cooper Kupp's, I don't know if he's washed, but he's old. He's not the guy. So Jackson Smith-Njigba has to be the guy. And unfortunately, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp have the same skill set. So I really question the offensive resources for Seattle. They're going to try to run the crap out of the ball. So if we, again, all goes back to the same thing. Do the young guys come in and do what they're supposed to do? Do they stop? Are we stout against the run this year? If we're stout against the run, this team is going to be very, very good, win a lot of football games, and they're going to be leading and leaning on people in these football games. If the run defense is still struggling, especially early in the season, while they gel, this is going to be a long year. So it just kind of is what it is. There's not a whole lot we can do about it at all. All we can do is sit back and watch. So let's at least try to enjoy. If you got any value from this video, if you thought it was good, if you thought it sucked, please tell me. Either way, down in the comments, like, subscribe, help this channel grow. And until next time, friends, we will see you then. Good night.